legend of Drew Ali is astonishingly backed up. The above encourages us to seriously consider another story passed down through antiquity. This concerns a meeting that Drew Ali had with President Woodrow Wilson. Noble Drew Ali claimed to have written a letter to President Woodrow Wilson and asked him for the Moroccan flag. The Wilson connection is once again ironic because President Wilson was a known KKK sympathizer who endorsed the racist movie Birth of a Nation, which featured a white supremacist by the name of Ben Cameron. There is an account that Drew Ali actually met with President Wilson and asked for the flag. When Wilson and his people asked him what flag he was talking about, Ali told them it was hidden in their vault. After going to the vault room, all the president's men brought out all sorts of flags, but he told them it was much older. As they dug deeper, they came upon a red flag and said that it was the flag of Morocco. Ali said, Ali is said to have stated, "I am here for the Moorish flag, that which you call a cherry tree." The full account of this alleged meeting is a little suspicious because it indicates that the Moroccan flag was red with a green star. At the time of George Washington, the Moroccan flag that would have been given to the president was only plain red, some say to honor the blood of the Prophet of Islam. This indicates that a black faction may have been embellishing what happened because the green star was only added to the Moroccan flag around or after this meeting with President Wilson was said to have occurred. The ostensible reason for adding a green pentagram was that the international seafaring community had problems with the plain Moroccan flag as it confused mariners who already had their own established use for red flags. The embellishing of the Drew Ali story was not really necessary if they had appealed to a higher truth. A more astute observer would have realized that the green pentagram added to the red flag is even more significant. Accordingly, Morocco adopted the pentagram, which they called the Seal of Suleiman, and colored it green to honor the color of Islam. Without actually observing all of the actual history concerning the bizarre synchronicities involved with the cherry tree, it is very hard to say how much of what occurred with it is intentional. It is quite clear, however, that some outside force was orchestrating a synchronicity that could not easily be explained. This will become clear as the story develops. After his alleged meeting with President Wilson, Drew Ali continued his life mission, which was to lead his people out of a mental poverty that had put them at the bottom rung of the ladder. His method to lift them was his own version of Islam. He also noticed that the only successful members of his race were those who imitated the conquerors of his people. There was no great imam or sheikh who taught anything that was indigenous or respectful of their original culture. In this vein, he became their leader and created quite a stir in the world of the Roaring Twenties. If you care to read the newspapers of the day, you will find that Drew Ali commanded such a following that he was closely monitored by the government as a potential power that had to be reckoned with. There were even huge revivals that outdid Christian enterprises. In fact, Drew Ali's meetings included stirring renditions of Muslims, that old time religion borrowing from the trite evangelical Christian ditty you likely heard. The movement was huge. Ali was billed as a healer too, and was said to produce miracles in his own right. By most accounts, the man seemed to be humble and unpretentious, although some have tried to defame him. Mostly everyone ignores Drew Ali. In the background of the religious dogma was the Moorish Science Temple, which has also been portrayed as having other names. In the midst of all this excitement and hoopla, there was one very penetrating truth. Drew Ali had a reputation that has surpassed that of any black man in the entire history of America. He was not only dangerous to the powers that be, he was in a position to wield a considerable amount of power. As is typical in any scene of power with Homo sapiens, his lieutenants and adjutants were all poised to make a grab at this incredible power, particularly if he was to suffer incarceration from the authorities or to die. Into this thriving scene of Black America rallying behind Drew Ali, as an international religious leader, entered one of the most intriguing and dubious characters in history, particularly Black Muslim history. This man's name was Wali Fard. I'm gonna stop right there.
Mhm. And you'll begin to see the politics, particularly when you go into the FBI papers and you see the intrigue and the subversion that took place in that whole area of the late 20s. Then you'll recognize why Ali, one of the counter moves that he made was to adopt a religious affidavit to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science to protect the estates of the Moors or their homes. And he set up a trust. People were to put all their stuff in trust to be protected. And of course, during that time, they murdered him because they already knew that that motivation or that momentum was killing the stock market. And this is again why the U.S. corporation company went bankrupt in 28, etc. Same year that he adopted the affidavit. And then you see what took place with Delano Roosevelt in 33, with them using all birth certificates to refund the United States Corporation Company again. And that went bankrupt in 2013. Then they started again and then went bankrupt in 2018. Then all of a sudden, this strange sickness appeared that everybody got a mask on for. If you think this stuff is not tied together, you really need to study history.
And for those who are asking the question, I'm reading from Synchronicity and the Seventh Seal by Peter Moon.
You can show it. It's the cover of that book.
Hold up a little bit. Here.
And this is the cover of Nature Knows No Color Line. Now, another point is, it's not that this information is not available to people, it's that people who have interest in keeping our people in servitude and ignorant don't want this kind of information out because it kills a lot of those Negroite, corporate funded 501c3 churches, mosques, and synagogues that actually come under Skull and Bones, that's been keeping this fake black code paradigm operative, that's been keeping the U.S. stock market alive. That's why they want you to keep calling yourself black and Negro, because it's all stock. It's not really the real people of the land. Real people of the land are Moors. They are the Aboriginal, indigenous people, proper heirs of the North Gate of Maghreb, of Mexam, etc. That's the fact. And all treaties, the oldest treaties, are by your mothers and fathers. So go back to the state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers and enforce the treaties, i.e., thus the constitutional obligations that the hybrid Europeans have to those treaties, etc., and to the Republican form of government set forth via that Constitution enforcing the treaties. Now that's a fact. Get to work, y'all. Stop pretending you don't know.
Here's a question.
And keep in mind, while our people have been playing games, the Whigamores have been fighting among each other over your estate. They're just hiding behind the Democratic and Republican Party. They're the Whigamores. They got to wear wigs, but you don't. Because you got them antennas.
So here's a question. Antoine Darrell says, "It's respect. I'm originally from Bermuda, but now living in England. Do you know anything about the GOM bays? GOM-BEY apostrophe S. Goom bays?
The Bombays.
It's Goom with a G.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Go back to the Picts, the Moors, and the Dubs. And when you're looking at England land, you know you're still home. You're looking at Iberia. And when you're looking at the islands, you're looking at the same. All of it's yours. You need to understand that. Same like when those of you in the islands and you're talking about the Maroons, still talking about Moors. The Maroons are Moors. Get over it. They're just simply brothers and sisters among the island people who try to preserve and keep the culture.
Here's a question. Why don't, quote unquote, they reveal that it was the Moorish womb men who defeated the Brits in the Revolutionary War?
Here we go. Aren't we back to Moorish history? Your connection to the land. Act like you know. They just hide it by calling us Indians. None of it's a secret. It's just that people need to know the difference between the nom de guerre that were used to separate us from each other and the different territorial names and tribal names which were used or emphasized to make us think that we're different people when we're just simply the same people of different territories, tribes of nations. Tribes are simply no different than you would call the different nation territories or what you would call the states territories. You look at the tribes in the same perspective because the state territorial jurisdictions were based on tribal rules. It's a duplication and a reflection of the same. And so when you look into Whigamores, and you're looking at the Whigamore conscience Whigs and the Cotton Whigs, i.e. the Republican Party and Democratic Party, just look at the Honesty Confederation, and then look at the Powhatan Confederation, etc. It's just simply a copy of what was already here.
I think the interesting point with regard to the D's and the R's is that when you, in terms of, I think a lot of folks have to see in this short 100 days what those who did actually go out and cast a ballot for what they did. It's very apparent, but I don't think as many realize, not maybe the ones here in this, we're very astute here on this chat, but I don't know if the masses realize that Mr. T, we'll just call him Mr. T. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't really, like you said, definitely wasn't on the D side, and the R's didn't respect him because a lot of them were just as involved in the mess as the D's. So he came for a totally different, like you always said, he was chosen or
he was
appointed, assigned, and so forth.
The corporation is dead.
Right. Who assigned him?
You can look at it from a perspective of divine fate. And that's included on a secondary level with generals and admirals who have been operatively constructing a plan to counter the operations of the Roman Curia operations that took place with the coup d'etat of 1861, March the 27th, with the overthrow of the Lincoln administration to undermine the republic. Now, you know, like you hear Dr. Nail about Q and QAnon that they're talking about
17.
Today? Do you know that started during the Lincoln administration and not recently the way people think it is?
Really?
That started during the Lincoln administration. It was just reactivated by Mr. T.
Okay.
That's the truth. The more you know about the real history, it's not only going to shock you, but you need to, it's like this. For people to ignore what's going on is to ignore their economic and political fate. And you're not going to hide from this because the dark priesthood is willing to sacrifice all of you to maintain power. So you think that because you're not involved, that you're not involved, you got a wrong thing coming. All you're going to do is make yourself easier grass to cut by ignoring it. I suggest that every man, woman, and child get involved with confessing their own, because what you don't confess, they plan to steal and liquidate, and then remove you so that you can make no claim. That's honestly what their missionary operations are right now, politically. And if you think that ignoring these matters gets you out of it, I'm not even going to argue with you. You will find out soon enough, and you're not going to go to no new generation with this crap going on, thinking that it's not going to become a reality for you, because you're if you don't die tomorrow, you'll live through this. You're going to live through what's coming. That's a guarantee. You're not going to ignore it safely. Let's put it that way.
I think I heard the pastor that was talking to Greg saying something like it was akin to paying the hitman to kill you last. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's basically kind of what it is. Those who ignore what's going on now is ignoring it at their peril. You know, you know, I'm not condemning people. I'm just observing truth. People are afraid because in their heart of hearts they know that Romans are cold-blooded murderers, and Rome has always done things to undermine anything that deals with justice. Or they keep crucifying Jesus over and over again. Jesus means justice, and so they hide and they think that because they won't take a stand or position of opposition to the corruption, that the corruptors won't sacrifice them. They're just simply easier food. Because Rome is ruthless. You better believe they're ruthless. And not because I say so, they're going to prove it to you. They've been proving it for these last few years. And if you notice that everything they've been doing has been more and more blatant relative to censoring you, cutting you off in the economics, hurting people literally, bluntly in the street. No justice, no justice, no justice, and you haven't figured out yet that they're not your friend, and that they're not your government, that they're the enemy of humanity and the enemy of constitutions and treaties. We don't have to keep telling you because they're going to prove it to you. And if you don't take a position, they're going to eliminate you physically and still steal all your stuff. You think you don't rock the boat and they're not going to take your stuff. Well, you got another thought coming because they intend to sacrifice it. And the more blind you pretend to be, the easier it's for them to eliminate you physically and economically, because that's what their intention is. That's what the pattern is. And keep in mind, for those of you who know the real politics and have done research on corporations, defunct corporations, in recent years, you'll find among them the United States Corporation. Now, what they're trying to do is extinguish many of the people because they stole all the pension plans, all of them. All of them. And rather than acknowledge that that's why they're putting elderly in nursing homes to kill them off under the guise of some secret germ type thing, well, it's not accidental because they've stole all their retirement funds. And they know that when these people finally figure out what they've been doing, like Bush Sr. said, they might lynch them from the nearest pole. That include all them corner store persons who keep claiming to love Jesus, who've been paid off to keep these people passive while they've been getting raped, while they've been getting skull and bone kickbacks, 501c3s that Lyndon Baines Johnson set up. Don't think that the assassination of Kennedy is not connected to this, because that is too.
There is I can't really say what it is, but but there's something on the flash drive that I recently put on in the under House of Reawakening Minds folder that is very, very interesting. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The kid.
Yes.
And without I can't get this, but I put it there.
Yeah.
And they really need, if you don't have a new.
Yeah. You know, this is the other thing, Dr. Naila. People have been thinking that the history and the chronology of the activities have been in a vacuum. The more you understand that the past is tied to the present. cognitely tied to the present, not circumstantially tied to the present, cognitely tied to the present. And so are all political activities. Therefore, it's important for you to know the history. So we're sharing with you some of it, i.e., the truth about American politics. Thus, you must know about the Whig Party, because your concepts will be wrong if you don't. And you can easily be misled by persons who are misrepresenting, as they have been, the political platforms operating at North America. And the more you know about this, the more you'll know their motives to hide hidden this information and why. But then you also, if you care about your family and yourselves, you start taking responsibility and start getting yourself a little bit more competent than you have been in your social political affairs. Because it's not dancing around you just because you've been ignoring it. Because keep in mind, while you're talking politics, you're still talking about spiritual warfare too. Because that's what's going on. So if you think that they're separate because somebody told you that, it will be to your peril to keep entertaining that state of mind.
Here's a That says so that's a fact. Because how did Chief Joseph get a cuneiform tablet that translated to Assyrian land deed?
Still here. Everything is connected. See, this is the whole deal. People got to stop disconnecting these things. They've presented history in a disconnected, vacuum type format when it's all tied together. The present proves the past. You can call prophecy if you want to. It's just that you got to know code words that they've used to hide the history. And also the motive of changing names or using transliterations of names so that you don't trace yourself back to yourself.
I'm seeing some stuff in the chat that's very disturbing tonight, and I'm going to try to be cool. That's why we can't get anywhere. Like I said,
Well, it's what it is.
Fighting. Disrespect.
It's what it is.
Disrespect.
It's going to be there. It's going to be there.
Disrespect.
Remember, this is what Drew Ali said. It'll be only a handful. You know why? Because the darkness. Why did we fall? Is it not then because of dark spirits? Has it not been because of treason? Is it not what the world is suffering in all governments today? Treasonous activities? Have all of the governments been so corrupt that they've been robbing the people? That's indeed the fact, isn't it? Has it not been that many of the platforms for jobs of people and organizations have been constructed for the very purpose of maintaining the corruption or protecting the corruption and protecting people's images who have supported the corruption? And isn't it interesting that when you start telling the truth, it's sort of like you're shining a light on people who otherwise have a different image to the people. And once the people start looking at this information, it exposes a lot of people on all sides. And when, how do you say, when the light shines on some people, they get upset because some people aren't who they've been presenting themselves to be. You know, the deal of it is that knowledge empowers people that were otherwise politically and socially disempowered or disenfranchised because they recognize that their concepts have been wrong, and that a lot of our lack of unity and a lot of our lack of progress has been because we've been dealing with improper or false or misleading information. And once people start recognizing that a lot of the schisms that exist among our people is because they haven't known the real history, and also is that they suspected that the enemy was just hybrid Europeans, not knowing that the enemies were among our own.
Yep.
And I always tell, like I've always said to people, Dr. Naila, don't accept what I say, do some research and prove it wrong. And in the process, you'll become a scholar. But you'll also uncover a lot of enemies that are right around you. But if you love your children and you love your family, you're going to deal with the truth as you find it. And you will find it. If you seek the truth will find you. It will. But it's always been there. And in spite, the other interesting thing, Dr. Naila, even though the hybrid Europeans and Constantinians, under the guise of Christianity, have been burning books, hiding history, restricting, blocking, sanctioning, demonetizing, confiscating people's accounts, censoring people, there's still enough history and information available to liberate anybody who really wants to be mentally liberated. And of course, before you can help liberate people politically, they must be liberated mentally. Know you the truth, and the truth will help set you free from fake government, fake religion, fake organizations, and fake institutions, i.e., colored structures. That's a fact. So understand, when you start exposing the platform of the cards that have been used by the corrupt dark priesthood, they get angry quickly and they send their trolls out. You're not telling the truth. They made that up. Well, do some research for yourself. We're just giving you some points of reference. And as you learn the truth, some of it's going to make you angry. Some of it's going to make you emotional. But I suggest don't do either. Study it and get wise. And start baptizing yourself with a new mind.
Yeah, and we were talking about this too, expanding some of what is taught, and which is, getting to that, which is a reason for my new channel.
Yeah.
But
and remember, like in harmony with what you were saying about the new channel, Robert Dwally said, half has not been told. If I told you everything, you'd go back to sleep. The more you study, the more you find out where he was actually directing us. Not only do you find more about yourself, find out more about the world and the politics.
Yeah, because we tend to go. Some of us jump on our nationality and we get tunnel vision,
limited,
and very limited, and so we have this myopic view of our world. It's just right in here, and you're missing everything that's outside the periphery.
Yes.
And so
Did you notice, in harmony, really, with some of your plans and thoughts, or even setting up a new channel, how, what is it that you recognize, and even a lot of things we do here at the House of Reawakening Minds, because of the ongoing war against the people, that when you start telling the truth, there's a concerted effort politically to sanction and to block and to censor, which makes things necessary. What more proof do the people need that these people are not their government?
I mean, not tonight, but there was a couple of, maybe it was last month or something. I see all the comments, not all of them, but I try to catch them. I see enough of them, and you know how I get emotional about stuff, and you tell me not to. So
Because it's war.
But I was cool this time
Yeah.
because I read a comment and it literally, I don't even know, it was somebody said that you and I were agents.
Well, nice.
And I thought,
we are.
then I said, of change, of truth.
The agents for the truth.
Right. Choose to change. Right. We have no hidden agenda. It's just that our people wake up.
Can't they find what we just told
them? Validate it, verify it for yourself.
Yes.
Don't expect us to give it all to you, but let us give you enough to make you hungry enough to want the rest.
Exactly. For yourself.
Right. There's no satisfaction like the satisfaction that comes with you seeking and finding.
And this is the truth. This is the truth. Everybody listening, and we ourselves here, are agents for either good or evil. Now, that's the truth. Problem. Have the conditions of the planet Midgard Earth proven to be governed by people who had good intentions for the people? Or does it prove that they had negative, evil, and destructive intentions for the people? So isn't it logical when anyone speaks any information that counters their activities or their platforms that they get upset? So you have agents for the dark and you have agents for the light. Know them by their works. Other issue is this. Anybody can disagree. Prove it wrong. And make yourself public. And prove it wrong. You notice how they stay in the shadows? You know how they say they got something to say in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they get out in the front and produce literature if they got the truth? They don't want it out there because it exposes them too.
Yeah, it's just many people they want you to do the digging and the harvesting, and then they want you to prepare it, and then they want you to make sure that what you prepared is to their liking. When
everybody come in flavors,
I know that, but
it comes with strawberry.
I know that.
It doesn't come in vanilla. It comes both clean and dirty. Comes, there's no good without that. It's admixture of evil. You're learning such things metaphysically to cast that evil off from it.
Okay.
It's called separating the wheat from the chaff. And everybody, uncomfortably, because it's uncomfortable for everybody, all of us. Is that everybody, like we said a few years ago, Dr. Naila, people are uncomfortable because everything is being shaken up. Everything is being challenged. And everyone is being uncomfortable because they're being forced to prove their gods.
And there's a lot of uncertainty that's
of course it is.
Going on right now.
Because it was uncertain before, they just didn't admit it.
Yeah, somebody was saying, I saw a comment and something about that Trump is not really for the people because he was encouraging them to take the vaccines. But I don't think he was encouraging for them to take those.
No, he was encouraging people.
It was the H.
They had their choice.
It was, but it was the early on.
Yes,
early H. Early on,
which is a vaccine,
and now an experimental drug.
Is not.
Yeah. So he was.
And again, like we said, we're not do the research. And this is again why a lot of times you have to qualify. We're not supporting him. We're just saying what they're dealing with and his assignment.
You need to know the truth.
Yeah, what it is.
It is what it is, but you need to know the truth.
But remember, like we said before, no matter what the Wigamores do, whether the consigned wigs or the cotton wigs, they're battling over your estate. Keep that in mind. So your responsibility is to do what? Confess your own. My responsibility to confess your own. My responsibility to confess my own. Your responsibility to confess your own. Every man, every woman, every child. Keep in mind, this is the age of Aquarius. Nobody's bearing everybody's cross anymore. Don't look for that. That's not going to happen. Get to work. Get off the keisters. Stop looking for sacrificial lambs. This is not the age of sacrificial lambs. That was in Pisces.
Well,
the dark priesthood are being removed. Logically, they're going to fight harder. And those who have been helping them, the minions, logically will get upset. And most of them are your paid trolls. So you don't get mad at them, you know they're going to be there. You know, like you don't get in a basketball game and don't expect them to try to score points, do you? The truth withstands scrutiny. The lie doesn't.
fine. Someone wanted to know if the Chinese recognize our claim, the Moorish claim to the sovereigns of the land. Moorish claim.
Say again?
If did the Chinese recognize Moorish claim?
Do the Moors recognize Moorish claims? Do they?
Do the Moors? All Moors? Some do, some
What the
don't.
world don't recognize is the black codes that they've been practicing on them.
Question was about General Ham. I can't. Somebody's here. Someone asked, can you touch on theocracy?
Theocracy simply means God study, or principles or structure of theocracy is a structure of government that recognizes divinity. Theo means God principle. Krasi, which means study or structure, political structure.
David says, I find it amusing that King Solomon's real name was Jedediah, and the Wiggers make a move. Oh, a move. I think they mean a movie called The Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so they always tell you. One thing, this is an interesting thing too. The hybrid Europeans, when they make their movies, often use those platforms and tell real history or politics in sometimes animated or movie structures. If you know the history, you can see that they're talking.
Yeah, there's a lot of, just like when what was the movie with the first time I heard, I guess more besides hearing it from you when I first met you was probably the movie with Martin Lawrence and
Black Knight.
The Black Knight.
And also the movie with Will Smith, Wild Wild West.
And well, I didn't see that
also
one.
Anthony Hopkins with True Romance. I mean, and also with you also probably to remind you The Bell with Sidney Poitier.
Bell.
The Bell. Of course, well, I've talked to his brother very often. His brother's nationalized.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this stuff is not unknown. It's when somebody points it out to you and you look back, you'll see that you've been told many times. El Cid, the movie El Cid.
I've heard his name, El Cid.
El Cid with, what was that guy named? The actor.
My goodness.
Right on the tip of my tongue. But it's it's just that people, Dr. Nayela, it's just that people have been trained under the Black Coast for so many generations, it goes past your ears. You know what I mean? Our people generally are in a state of disassociation. And so you think you haven't heard it because it hasn't what resonated, if you get the point.
Right.
And then when you become conscious, what we call conscious or enlightened, it resonates.
I want to give condolences to, I'm not sure, I'm not sure Bendy Brianna is, well,
Got to be very clear. I don't know.
Well, they say that the baby brother just passed Sunday morning after a week after taking second Moderm B. Initially said he wouldn't last year, he wouldn't until more years of study on it. And these are the things that they're not, we here at House of Joy Awakening Minds give you our condolences, and there are many more like that. The story's not being told.
Yes.
The truth's being suppressed. Everybody everybody's coming out of the woodwork, every so-called star, the ones that they haven't taken off the scene yet, to try to get everybody else to play Russian roulette with your life. So it's it just now that makes me angry because
We have an unfortunate situation, on the planet now, Dr. Naila,
yeah,
where we, keep telling people is that the dark priesthood is coming out in the open. They're not even hiding things. They're just literally attacking the people. And part of it is if the people don't wake up, they're going to be fodder. It's hard, but people are going to have to learn to render unto Caesar what is Caesar and learn what that really means. Because there's a lot of people among your own that keep delivering you to these demons.
have to and somebody said, and I've seen it on like in Canaanland, whoever this official was, like, we're gonna go to knock on doors and do what? I saw where people who they consider mentally challenged, they're forcing them to take it.
They're exterminating. Didn't they say in King Alfred what they were going to do?
Mm-hmm.
We've been telling people King Alfred for 25 years.
Roscoe Duncan says, what did the divine prophet say? If I can teach you to think,
If
you
I
will
can
save
just get you
yourself.
all thinking
You
again,
save yourselves.
save yourselves.
And that's what we try to do.
Trying to get the people to think. We're not trying to micromanage. People still want to be micromanaged. They want somebody to micromanage and judge. My position is, if you get these people active and thinking again, get them thinking and move on. Get more thinking because they're going to need each other. And you need thinkers. People are thinking outside the box. You need them. Don't condemn. Learn something. Everybody has been given or gifted with some of the information or some of the keys for the liberation. Respect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Dr. Nail,
Yes.
and for the listeners to even comprehend some of the motive why we're talking about the rigor and for people who don't understand the consular position, let's read from Law Book. All right, I'm going to share with you all from Law Book, directly from Law Book, United States Code of Law, etc., in relationship to those matters. Excuse me, while I'm pulling this up, I'm pulling up one of my lesson books to share with you directly. the support in harmony with those who are put in law or put in place to make law and to enforce law, and why, and in relationship to the nationality. Now, this is directly from the law book, the Code of Laws of the United States of America. It's not the corporation, this is the political platform distinguished from the corporation. The Code of the Laws of the United States of America of a general and permanent character in force January the 3rd, 1935, 1934 edition, consolidated, codified, set forth, and published in 1935 in the 159th year of the Republic, with ancillaries and index. Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse. Page 9, Chapter 2, Consular Courts. Section 141, Judicial authority generally to carry into full effect the provisions of the treaties of the United States with certain foreign countries, the ministers and consuls of the United States in China, in Siam, in Turkey, in Morocco, in Muscat, in Abyssinia, in Persia, and the former territories formerly a part of the former Ottoman Empire, including Egypt, duly appointed to reside therein, shall, in addition to other powers and duties imposed upon them, respectively, by the provisions of such treaties, respectively, be invested with judicial authority described in this chapter, which shall appertain to the to the office of minister and consul, and be a part of the duties belonging thereto, wherein and so far as the same is allowed by treaty, and in accordance with the usages of the countries in their intercourse with the Franks or other foreign Christian nations. So foreign is not distance, is it? It's jurisdiction.
Wow. They took down the Organite video and put it back up or leave a link for a website for the Organite. Not sure what video that was.
Well, you can't know because we've done some minutes.
But Organite video.
Specific.
I don't know. I don't know that I had an Organite video up. Please tell everyone. With like a list of suggested books. I guess I could put. I'm reading so many books.
Some of them that we present also Moorish Empire in Europe. It's a series of books, about 3 books. I think you have that here. We've got so many books upstairs and downstairs and in boxes.
What's that? Those are all like, we'll see. What's the name? What were you looking for?
Moorish Empire in Europe.
I don't think I have that.
3 set of 3.
No, I don't have.
I have them home, but that would be a good series of books. The ones we showed you would be good. Stanley Lane Poole, Moors in Spain. What else? Ancient and Modern Britons would give you a better concept of even Nature Knows No Color Line and the information in there, and the monarchies of Europe, the original monarchies that were overthrown during the Napoleonic Wars, and recognize that you are the true Iberians or Europeans, the Picts and the Moors, etc. And then you'll understand that the overthrow will include not just the Maghreb or Morocco or America, i.e., it will include Iberia or Europe. And most of the power transfer that manifests as the politics today would be from the mid 1800s. That's again why it's important for you to know the history of the Whigmore Party, because they've carried out most of the policies up to the day under the guise of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. This is why they maintain a monopoly. If you notice that they don't allow any other parties to take any hold here in North America, and it goes unchallenged, and if it does, it's squashed or it is censored. People need to understand the politics. See, because if we're going to fix anything, you got to know that we can't keep protecting our own biases and images.
By its name, the meaning of its name, two the prefix and the suffix, poly, many, ticks, bloodsuckers, many bloodsuckers, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It is, they feed off of, first of all, the ignorance of the people,
and they promote it in the first place.
Yeah.
But then
the resources and everything else.
The people are the stock.
They are elected to go and serve the interests of, and then when they get where they're going, they only serve their own interests. I mean, like I said, I see folks that I know when I watch the so-called address that was the other day, a person that I know very well, prominently walking down the aisle, and to me, they may see this, but to me, anybody who serves a term down there and then goes back again has been gotten. To me, if you have any integrity, once you find out that there's a swamp, you do whatever you can to get out. You don't get another term.
Yes. But the deal with, see, this is what must be comprehended, Dr. Naila, is that the platform itself is constructed under a fraud. And this is why it's important for people to know that the United States corporation is not the country. And so people keep assuming that there's a legitimate political operation in its structure when it's de facto. And this is back to really people, a lot of times when we're discussing, do people really understand what de facto means and what de jure means? See, so what's happening is the people keep expecting de jure activity from a de facto platform. But the deal is they don't know that the platform is de facto. You see the point? So they're making assumptions. And this is back to, again, why it's important for people to know the rigmaroles. That these are what? Substitutes. That they're imposters. That they're imitators. And that everything that they do is what? Colored. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. So what happens if the people don't know the reality? They keep vesting themselves into a fake platform, getting bad results, and then getting confused. Because they have what? False expectations, don't they? Because they're assuming that the platform is constitutional, don't they? When the platform is not constitutional. So if the platform is not constitutional, i.e. not legitimate, do they do legitimate legislation? Or do they do color of legislation? Do they exercise proper delegated constitutional and treaty authority, or do they exercise de facto or color of authority, which is what they've been doing? And then people have been what? Diverted by arguing racism and prejudice, which is not the issue. And then the people keep supporting it, expecting a different result. Is it not true, Dr. Naila, as our people have been sending their children to school generation after generation, and I just read to you what's documented and available to anybody who reads the philosophy page of the owners and establishers and founders of the General Education Board that's been messing their children up, and they have said bluntly what they're going to do to the children. And how many people would come as trolls and try to act like we said something wrong when we're talking documents, their own stuff? So logically, people who have been a part of that platform are going to be offended that they're being exposed with this information, wouldn't they be? Because they've been saying they love our children, they love our people. They got degrees on the wall. They're part of the fraud too, aren't they? And so they think we're attacking them. We're just exposing the truth. We're not. It's not personal. They take it personal because it exposes them. So we're agents for the truth, aren't we? But they act like it's a negative, don't they? What is their motive? Their motive becomes apparent the more people learn. And the more people do research in this information that we're sharing, the angrier they're going to get. But I suggest you don't get angry, get wise. And take responsibility in your affairs. I know truth is, people, truth makes people uncomfortable. I understand that. But, we can't afford to keep maintaining this ignorance.
We're almost at that time. And I'm gonna post this.
Anyway, Dr. Naila, I wanted you to, if you don't mind, you know, also share a little bit more with the people. Anyway, for you all, thank you for sharing the night with us here at the House of Reawakening Minds. And please subscribe to Dr. G's new YouTube channel, Dr. G's Official.
Dr. G is official.
Dr. G is official. As capital D, small r, capital G, small I, small s, capital O, FFICIAL.
Yeah.
So YouTube requires 1,000 subscribers in order for the channel to go live. So
we got 185. It's about 1,100,
yes.
Almost 1,200 folks. It's over 1,200 folks here. All I need is 885 of them.
Yeah, the link will be posted in the chat.
Right
so
there.
Look up the link.
Right here.
It will be, yes. Post the link in the chat. And anyway, thank you all for supporting the House of Reawakening Minds. Keep in mind, the House of Reawakening Minds, the official House of Reawakening Minds, is here to support you, people, and to help in the ongoing work of helping to uplift fallen humanity. And keep in mind, the half has not been told. Like the Prophet Noble Ali said, I told you everything, you go back to sleep. He also said, I've given you more than enough to raise a nation. Now, go out and raise your people. Help uplift your people. Help restore your nation. Go back to that state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers. The house supports you, support the house. Have a grand evening.
Well, I just want to add to that. Somebody just said I need 4,000 hours too, but that's not what I was told. I need 1,000 subscribers, so I need at least 885 more. 815 of you all to
share.
Please go and go to Dr. G is official. When you search on YouTube for Dr. G is official, it's going to pop up with Darius is official. Is that what you were looking for? No, underneath you really want Dr. G is official, all one word. And if I can get up to, not excuse me, when I get up to 1,000, not if, I'm going to do something different. We are over on that channel. This channel is not going away. You'll still have Grand Chic here on House of Reawakening Minds, and office hours may move over to the new channel. But we definitely want to do some other things over there that you're going to want to know and want to be a part of. So please give us some likes and please subscribe. There's enough of you on here where we can hit that 1,000 tonight. Also, as Grand Chic said, we always appreciate your support of House of Reawakening Minds. Those of you, so even those of you who are purchasing the USB drive, there's a lot of new information on there. There's over 750, maybe 55. I think there's about 755 documents on there now, and a lot of things that will give you hours and hours of study and research time.
Send you on a journey for years, to be honest with you.
So, if you're interested in a USB drive, I have been putting up the Just text me. You don't have to say anything but USB drive. You don't have to write a letter. You don't have to say I want it, or just put USB, and we'll text you. I'll text you back the link so that you can order it. Appreciate you. Appreciate those support. Also, there will be no next week. There will be no office hours with Dr. G on Tuesday, and there will be no regular House of Reawakening Minds on Friday. This is a vacation week. Grand Chic is going on a much, much, much well-deserved and needed vacation, and I'm going to be out of commit. I'm not going to be available either. So I'm taking a vacation too. So let us hopefully you'll go back into the archives and relook at some of the very, very informative presentations that have been made, and we will be back the week of, I believe that is the 9th, 10th. I think it is the week of the 10th. If you look at Monday, I'll be back on the 11th, and I believe Grand Chic, you will be back on the third Friday. Correct?
Yes.
Perhaps something like that. Tonight was in place of next Friday, and we thank you for all of your thank you for all of your support and your attentiveness. I ask you, be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Do your best. We're gonna overcome all of this, as Grand Chic calls it, Bieskidorf.
Yeah.
We have to overcome it with love and love for self.
And patience.